Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome back, everybody. Today, I am excited to be here with Wes Crocket. He is the owner of Mahogany Builders located in Chicago, Illinois. I'm very excited to have you on the show today. Welcome to Builder Stories, Wes.
Thanks so much, Eric. I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity to share my story.
Yeah, so why don't you give us a little bit of background, who you are, how you got into construction, and what's Mahogany do?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. So, about 15 or so years ago, around 2011, I was in grad school studying organizational psychology. I always just wanted to run a business and run a team just like my dad used to. He was the best leader that I ever knew, and to see people the way they revered him, the way they followed him was something that I always wanted to do. I wanted to be that guy just like my dad was, and I didn't really care about what industry that I actually went into, as long as I could run a team and go towards a goal. And so I studied organizational psychology, which is kind of a weird thing that not a lot of people have heard about. And I got a master's in this subject, and it's a sort of the study of people at work and how to put the right people in the right positions to get the most out of them, designing selection tests and understanding what makes a good fit for a role within a company. And so I was at the tail end of my master's in 2011 when my wife, who was in interior design school at the time, was working as a nanny for the owner of a remodeling company and needed to do an internship for them. And so she started working as an intern for this remodeling company. The owner of the company, was kind of like a lot of owner operators out there, who was hitting a limit of his effectiveness as an owner operator. You sort of hit a limit where you go, okay, I can only do so much, and needed to be able to do more if he was going to grow the company. And he had an office manager exit at the time and needed some extra help. And so I kind of raised my hand and said, hey, I'll come in and do some office management stuff for you. And that was 2011, and the story really grew from there. I started working for Mahogany while I was still in school, and I've never really gone to work anywhere else. So like I said, when I got to Mahogany Builders, the owner, Matt Letter, was, wearing every single hat in the business, like so many owner operators do, right? Running projects during the day, doing estimates at night, doing all of his accounting and stuff. And at night, we were at the time using a combination of QuickBooks, desktop, and Excel to do everything that we did. In 2011, the construction software landscape was barren, like a desert, right? Very few things out there for actual remodelers. And so I came in and sort of took over the accounting, and I took over the sort of human resources part of it, and decided, like, hey, we're going to expand. We're going to take sales off of your plate too. And so we hired a salesperson, and we went from doing about $700,000-800,000 in business around 2011 to we, in 3 years between then and 2015, more than doubled our business. We started doing about $2.5 million after just sort of splitting off and hiring a salesperson to just focus on those things full time. And at that time, we sort of went up market a little bit. It didn't do as many sort of lower end remodels in small homes. Started doing higher end remodels. Hired a designer then because we needed that internal capacity. And found ourselves being sort of a design build company. And it was around 2014, 2015, in that area, that Matt and I, looking for software packages that might work for us, didn't find anything that was out there. And he has a background in software, project management, and it's just something, I guess I could say, I do as a hobby. I'm just really into technology and software solutions to things. Him and I decided to make our own system. So in 2015, we spent 6+ months designing the front end of a construction management software platform that our company's called Mahogany Builders. We lovingly called it the MB 5000, sort of jokingly. And we it's a database in the end, right? And so him and I understood database management, so we made a couple of modules for timekeeping, a couple of modules all based on sort of a contact structure, right? And then we hired a software developer to do everything that we designed, every module we designed, every screen, every output that we designed, had a guy do it for us, and spent an arm and a leg, right? Doing it because software developers are expensive. But what we had after a year was a system that run our business on. It was awesome from about 2015, 2016 to about 2018, 19. It did everything for us, all of our estimates and timekeeping and all that stuff. And we sort of had dreams and aspirations of becoming like JobTread one day. We were like, oh, this is awesome. If we do it this way, everyone will love it. I mean, the truth is, super rudimentary software, only applicable to our own business case and not the many business cases that are out there, right? Sort of based for a time and materials company like we were at the time. And we sort of hit the limits of that system. As we grew as a company, we sort of grew out of it and just had to make a decision in like 2018, 2019 of like, are we gonna go spend another $50,000, $75,000 paying a software developer to go make this bigger into what we actually have, or are we gonna go try and go with one of the now more available software packages out there? And so we decided to abandon and our lovingly built system and try out another large construction software management sort of platform with which you are quite familiar. Did it for about 6 months, decided that wasn't really for us, and went back to using the combination of now this is when QuickBooks Desktop stopped being supported on Macs, and we had to now move from QuickBooks Desktop to online was not gonna happen, and we started using, Xero for all of our accounting, and I built from 2019 to about 2022, 2023 a great ecosystem of different softwares, using Float for our scheduling, using Zero for our project management software, using Gusto for payroll, things like that, that all sort of integrated together. But it was in the end a patchwork of systems, and ended up finding JobTread when we were at a conference in 2023. I think it was the 40 under 40 it was one of those big conferences, and I mean the rest was history for us. We really took off once we learned about and once we really started getting into JobTread software. It helped us be way way more organized and focused on GP than we've ever been able to do before. And so, it allowed us to do even more. So over that time, we went from being about a $2.5 million business to we're doing about 3.5, 3.6 right now. We expanded our team over that time from, just a project manager, a designer, and a salesperson to having a 4-person sales team. We've got a design department of 2 designers now. We've got a production department with 10 crewmen, carpenters, or internal labor for us, project manager, a production manager. And so this thing has just sort of steadily built and built and built over time. And in the middle of that, somewhere, Matt, who is a bit older than me, he's a Gen Xer. I'm a millennial, so he's not that much, but he decided that he wanted to ride off into the sunset at some point, like a lot of owners do. And him and I put together a sort of a transition package that we're in the middle of right now. And you know, it's it's a wonderful business that has been the pride of my entire life to build, and the people in my company are absolutely wonderful, and I truly enjoy the business that I run. If I won the lottery tomorrow, there is no shot I would do anything different. I would wake up and do the exact same thing I do every day. So, sorry for that long soliloquy, but that's sort of our
No, that
entire story, and it really is like software focused. Has been my entire sort of story, really.
man, that's so awesome. It's funny because right before we started recording here, you're just like, man, like I feel like you and I, on paper we should, you're just such a similar story. We'd be best
Mhm.
friends. And I mean, man, yeah, just hearing you tell that, I mean, that's literally the same kind of situation. I mean, I didn't, take over and kind of work my way up entirely, from the ground up, and I wasn't with the construction company that I took over just for a year where I built out the first version of this. But like, man, that's awesome that you literally have been able to to grow with this thing and really make a very meaningful impact. But you've risen up from the very bottom, and now are taking over and gonna just own the whole thing. That's super cool, man. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been kind of a long and weird journey that if you asked me 15 years ago if I would have ever been a remodeler, like, what? What do you what are you talking about? But now, I think it was Scott Galloway that said, like, if you don't, not every like kid, I'm paraphrasing, like needs to grow up and be the astronaut they thought they were going to be. Like sometimes go find something, go get good at, and the passion will follow. And that is
Yeah.
absolutely what's happened for me. I am deeply passionate about remodeling and especially like about the Chicago market and sort of our place in the market and what defines our customer and really drilling down on that so we can provide the best service to the people that we are best matched for as a company. Like that stuff really excites me. And I've been lucky this entire time to be able to focus on that part of the business while I have a great partner who is sort of the face of our company, who is out there doing a lot of sales for us, while I can work on these sort of back end systems and processes that grow a company up. You know what I mean? That give us bigger clothes to be able to grow into, and we've consistently done that over many different iterations. I've used the example like a spider sort of molting into new skin, like, and just growing and growing. It's been a wonderful journey to be able to do that with a partner who is sort of the yin to my yang, right? He his weaknesses are my strengths and my weaknesses are his strengths, and it's been a wonderful symbiotic relationship that there's no way that we would have been able to grow to the size, level, stature, reputation that we are right now as a company without both of those two sort of unique skill sets. So, it's an ongoing challenge of like what I'm gonna do when Matt is no longer there and sort of continues his ride off into the sunset, which he's doing right now. But it's an open question. I've got joined Remodelers Advantage. That was a huge thing for me as a business, probably around 2016 when him and I first started those discussions. I discovered them at a conference, like all good things that I seem to find in remodeling, and joined a group of remodelers that you work through different groups in Remodelers Advantage, but I've been in a group called Dorado now for 5 or 6 years. They're a tremendous group of 10 other remodelers from across the country that have really stayed together in this group, where a lot of groups maybe have a bit more transience but you want to talk about imposter syndrome, man. I've got guys like Jeff Titus, who was the Impact Award winner for Remodelers Advantage last year in our group. We've got guys like John Ford in there, who, no matter how successful you feel like you are as a business owner, you look at guys like that and they're just like, you're on a different level, man. It's something that you continually strive for. You put yourself in positions around people who do things better than you do, or to strive to, and you end up rising, as well. And that's so true for me. I don't know where I'd be right now if I didn't have that group of people. And shout out to Doug Howard too, who has been like a perennial leader of our group, who I know Doug's absolutely
Yep.
fantastic. So yeah, Remodelers Advantage was transformative to our company for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, again, it sounds like you've been making all the right moves from, from early on. And, obviously the leadership that you've, brought to the company has been tremendous. And, I think at the end of the day, it's all about assembling the right team, getting the right people on the bus, right people in the right roles. And then you can figure out, how and where to drive that bus together. And so, it sounds like, and I'm a real big proponent of like, look, find a partner, find somebody who will also have that same, level of skin in the game. At the end of the day, it's somebody to sort of, share the burdens that, that come with, owning a business and managing it. And, at the end of the day, the buck stops with you, but having that partner, somebody who, again, you guys can divide and conquer, get everybody who's focused and passionate about doing their role in that right seat. And that's how you build a great business.
Totally agreed. So, I mean, I know this is about builder stories, but do you have the same thing at JobTread? Do you have people you feel like you rely on in that way?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's my core team. It's the people that, at the end of the day, our goal is to keep the organization as flat as possible. But at the end of the day, like each kind of team, they have their leaders. But hopefully, we want to bring people on that everyone, feels ownership. They feel like they're, responsible for their own role, their own responsibility. They're passionate about it. They're going to do whatever it takes. They're going to work well, collaborate with others. But like, it's all about assembling that team of people so that, you as the head honcho, you're not having to like, again, play firefighter every single day. You've got the people in place that you can trust to deal with those, complex situations, those challenges that come up. Obviously it doesn't mean you're not going to get involved and help out and play that same, part that you need, but like, it's great when you can trust those people around you.
I feel like I learned a long time ago that there's nothing that I can you hit a limit as an owner operator, and I hit a limit as an owner too, that there's only so much that you can do and be effective at one time. And so you have to take that leap, find good people, trust those people, get out of their way and let them do their jobs. I think that was really important. And respecting the opinions of those people who are maybe lowest on the totem pole or in the front line of your company. My dad always told he was a senior regional manager for Men's Warehouse when I was a kid, and managed hundreds and hundreds of people, and would tell me that every time he would go to a new Men's Warehouse store to figure out, what's going on here, he would always go to the tailors in the back of the shop first. And that was a lesson that stuck with me my entire life, that the people who are really at the front lines, maybe somewhere in the background, I guess, like a tailor is in a sewing shop in the back of a Men's Warehouse, those would be the first people he would go to say, "Hey, how are things going here? What needs to be improved upon?" And so that's a lesson that I've taken with me and sort of applied to my own management style. And so the opinions of the way that those guys who are in the front line in our company, what they think should change, how they think things are going, is so important to me as a manager. And to your great point a minute ago, like when you have something good, something nice, you take care of it. And so it's been so important for us to put in systems and processes that make sure that those people in the front line feel heard, respected, and that this is a place that we we want to be the employer of choice. We want there to be no reason why anybody would want to work anywhere else once you work with Mahogany Builders. And that goes both ways, right? I want to both make sure that that we are providing a great environment for them to be in, but that this company fits their story of their life in such a way that they can progress to a level that helps them realize those goals that they have for themselves in their life. So I mean, just continuing to be an employer that keeps employees around and keeps them, it's really, really expensive if you're a revolving door, to try and retrain. And we're very lucky that we don't have that at Mahogany Builders. When you have something
Yeah.
nice, you take care of it. And so I like the people who work for us very, very much here. So we try and do everything we can to make this, like I said, be the employer of choice in our market.
That's awesome, man. We've got a saying here that I really love. It's may the best idea always win. And the goal is, again, when you hire great people, hopefully they are, you know, have a skill set, have a trait, have something where, again, they are the best at that. That's why you put them in that role. They're better than you. Like, and you
Mhm.
need
Oh,
everybody to
yeah.
feel comfortable speaking up and like, hey, this is why you're here. Like, we want, your thoughts, your advice, your guidance. Like, tell us what's working, what's not working, what ideas, like hopefully they take ownership in trying to solve problems. And, again, at the end of the day, whenever someone comes up with an idea that is like, gets that support and gets the backing of like, yeah, let's go do that. Like they want to implement it even more because, they came up with it. And it's
Right.
like, so many times, people feel scared to speak up, because it's like, oh, well, I'm not in charge or I'm not the boss or they're going to think bad or they're not going to like it. It's like, look, at the end of the day, who cares who came up with it? Let's debate the merit of each and every idea. Like where it came from really doesn't matter. The question is that the right idea? Is that the best idea? And let's move forward with it.
Totally agree. That jogs two things loose in my head when you said that. One is that, like, I've probably interacted with at least 2 dozen people from JobTread through my own interactions with you, through customer support, through my success manager, but then at Connect. And I gotta say that everyone there seems so well bought into the mission there, and that everyone has like this sort of intangible passion in here about the product itself. The webinar I was in yesterday, that had to do with to-dos. The guy who was putting it on, God, I forget his name right now. He was absolutely fabulous in the passion that he exuded for your product when you weren't looking for lack of a better term. That's all you can ask of people, right? To carry that passion with them into those interactions where you are not actually going to be observing them or directly managing them, right? And and we have a you should, the other thing that it jogged loose in my head is that you don't, as the leader of your company, need to be the number one expert, top of the food chain of every process that you have. Like, I have a project manager who works for my company who has forgotten more about remodeling than I will ever know in my life. A guy who came to us 15 years ago after already running his own remodeling company for 20 years at that point, right? The guy, he knows more than I ever will. So when it comes to production, he's the king. I defer to him in almost every situation out there. And if you don't have somebody on your team that you look at like that, where you go, that guy knows more than I do about things, and you probably should have one of those, right? Dad used to say the smartest person surrounds himself with those smarter than he, right? I feel like that's also been key to this, that everyone in a leadership position in my company can do their job, whether it's design or sales, or project management, better than I could. And if you don't respect that, then it's definitely a lesson to be learned there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as leaders, again, our job isn't necessarily to solve every single problem. Our job is to continually, motivate and inspire and make sure that everyone's bought into the mission, the vision, the core values. Like, it's about being that leader that, attracts other people who want to join the winning team and and share that level of passion. Like, I genuinely believe, like, you can't pay people any amount of money to just be passionate and to care. Like, they have to have that from within. Like, that's got to be, that fire in their belly. Like, they either have it or they don't. And that's one of the things that we're looking for, in an interview. I mean, and I believe you can just feel it. It's like the energy of someone. Like, you just feel that being around them. Are they excited? Are they passionate? Like, will they, represent your brand and your company when you're not around? Just like you said.
Yeah, well, it's within a few questions of an interview and listening to how someone comports themselves and the energy with which they bring, and speak, and the passion that you can hear in their voice, you can almost tell within the first few minutes of an interview with someone whether they have that. And that's such an intangible, and it's difficult for me to like objectively compare one person to the other if you're in an
Yeah.
interview process. But you, as a hiring manager, kind of just know in your soul when you meet somebody who has that. I'm reading right now, and I bet you have too, a great book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And it's what I mean. If you haven't, you just said 3 chapters of it in your last last statement. I mean, leaders are constantly looking to find great people. You're constantly, you know in your soul what those qualities are, those intangible qualities that you look for in someone. For me, it's like it's loyalty, it's energy, it's attitude. Oh God, attitude is just so important, it just dictates the way you every situation that you have, and the way you tackle it, right? Everyone has those intangibles that they look for in people, and always being on the lookout for people who meet those values, because it's rare that you find someone. And I've got at least 2 examples in my company of people who I have met in my sort of networking activities out in the world, who um I looked at and said, I, I don't know where you fit, but your values fit for this company. And that happens so infrequently, to find somebody who has those same values, that, I decided to plug both of those people in, who are still long-term employees, successful employees of our company right now. So if you're somebody who is looking at somebody who is in a job adjacent to yours, but you think might be a good fit because of their values, I'm here to tell you, like, take that leap. If you find someone who truly looks at the world like you do, that's it's been really key to our success as a business, is finding those good people and plugging them in where you see fit. But beyond that, like, the 21 laws, like, you sort of touched on, people follow people who they see as being better leaders than themselves as well. And I think that's also a really important point. But managing the timing, those sort of intangibles around momentum, as well. Like, those have it's a great book. If you haven't read it, or if you're a listener right now, if you haven't read that book, that one's A1 to pick up right now.
And that's the 21 Laws of Irrefutable Leadership?
The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I've
Okay.
got one of my production managers mainly speaks Polish, and I wanted to take this leadership journey with him as he just got promoted to a position where he's in charge of people for the first time. And I said, let's do this together. So I found they have Polish language copies. They have Spanish language copies of it. So if I highly suggest you and your team reading a book like that together. And we've gone through and digested the chapters, sort of like a book club, right? And talked about what works and what doesn't work, and what might work on our team. And it has made both of us better leaders and more attentive leaders. And it's been one of those things on my mind lately that it has me evaluating everyone I see around me who is in a leadership role, and how they sort of command the room, and how they lead their teams. And there's, really a huge difference between somebody who is a manager and someone who is a leader, right? There's a great metaphor in the book about managers can steer the ship. They can be at the helm of the ship and they can steer, but only a leader can be the person who charts the course of where that ship is actually going to go. And that's something that has rung in my that's not been unrung in my head like a bell for a while. Yeah, sorry, I kind of got
Yeah.
tracked
No, that's great. I mean, John Maxwell, awesome. Highly recommend that as well. I think you're so true though. Like when you find great people, even if you got to make sure that there is some sort of a role, or when you create that role, that it is a good fit, and that they're gonna, you need that role and you can afford that role. But like I've done that multiple times where we have created a role because this is a person, that I have a relationship with, I've worked with before, or someone I know, has worked with them. Like there's nothing that like better than being able to bring somebody on your team that like you already have that innate like trust. Like I know that they're going to be here, they're going to be loyal, they will be here till the end. And that is so valuable to have those trusted people, because otherwise, when you start working with someone new, I mean, it takes time to build that bond and to build that trust, and to get to the point where you're there. But like, man, when you can just bring it in on day one,
Yep.
oh, it's so awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the guys that we brought in who fell into this category was and is a real estate agent in Chicago. And for us, we do high end interior remodels, typically in a lot of high rises and things like that. And there's a ton of inventory for that in Chicago. And when we brought on this salesperson who was also a real estate agent, it was great because part of the equation there, and you don't just meet my values, but hey, you might be able to bring something to this equation for us that we didn't have before, which is relationships with tons and tons of other real estate agents out there. And for us, from a sales perspective, that opened up a new sort of prospecting pipeline for us that we hadn't had before. That it increased for us the importance of not just getting business from referral from previous homeowner or previous clients and homeowners and neighbors and things like that, but now focusing on getting leads from real estate agents in addition to designers and architects. And now we call them the rad group internally, because they now referrals from those three individual groups make up like 75% of our leads, 75% of our actual closed jobs, I should say. And so that was really key to us, like figuring out this new group of people to be able to market to. And now it's sort of changed the way that we sell as a company. We don't do a lot of like traditional advertisement, not a ton of pay per click Google advertisements or anything like that. We still do a little bit just to sort of keep our name up there, but they represent like 5% of the business that we close in any year is somebody who came to us by way of the internet. Now, if that's the first place you heard of us. So for us, we're really focused on where do those real estate agents, those really high end real estate agents who are turning over $1 million+ properties, where do they hang out? What groups are they in? One of our most successful marketing sort of groups that we're in is a whiskey and cigar group that has turned into 4 major jobs for our company. That it sounds like a weird expense. My accountant might question what you're doing being part of a whiskey and cigar group, but it's like you have to find those people who give you business, who refer business to you, and be the places that they are. I mean, that goes for homeowners too. I mean, we don't meet a lot of homeowners directly in those kind of groups, but you do well to go to those places where our clients are people who have very limited amount of time. We usually work with two busy working professionals who have um, money in excess of their time. And so, where do people who fall into that category spend the majority of their time? A lot of it is philanthropy. A lot of it is sort of country club, private school groups. Those have been really effective for us as well. And you meet one person and do a job for one person who's in a, a school group, and suddenly all of the parents now know about you. That's also been another great sort of avenue of leads for us. But thinking outside the box, outside of the traditional sort of nary groups where you're just beating other contractors in, Rotary International has been a huge one for us. I'm a third generation Rotarian. My grandfather started the Rotary Club of Schaumburg Hoffman Estates. My father and uncle remembers, and I was president of that club during COVID. That was an interesting one to try and run. But the Rotary Club has been another huge one for us. Just sort of avenues where you meet people who spend their time, and if you go out and do good in those places and don't show up visibly being there just to make business contacts, if you're actually there for a genuine reason to just meet people and be helpful, we found it has really served to increase the value of our brand out there. So all of those have been really great strategies for us to find clients in a really difficult market right now, to try and generate leads and especially when you can't just throw money at pay-per-click advertising and expect us to increase the amount of jobs that we win, right? It's got to be doing the hard work, as I say, going out and meeting people, shaking hands, being in those groups.
Yeah, that's so insightful, Wes. Like, thank you for sharing that. I mean, and I gotta imagine, I mean, that had to have taken you years to figure out. So I'm wondering, earlier on, you said kind of, today only about 5%, of your leads, or I guess your leads or your customers are coming from like your traditional paid ads, pay per click type stuff. But early on, what was that mix? What did that mix look like? And what did you do, earlier? And then how did it sort of evolve over time?
Yeah, a lot of it in the earlier stages was pay per click, but I feel like there's a lot of companies out here who have built their business on referrals, and definitely that's where it started for us. Between referrals from in the early days, just from previous clients. That's what turned this from Mahogany Builders started because my partner Matt Lederer was doing a project on his own home and found a lack of professionalism in the industry, and found a team of guys and did such a good job on his own house that his neighbor over here asked him to do a remodel for, his brother over here asked him to do a remodel, and suddenly that just it went from being a side gig to a main gig, right? And so it was all by referrals from past clients first. There was no sort of business development like I just talked about. There was no a real advertising of any kind, no like in magazines or not, sort of the traditional advertising routes like that. It was all just organic until you hit a point at which you've done work for everybody in your own personal network who and the second and third sort of levels of that own network, and you run out at a certain point. And I think that we probably did that somewhere around the 2013 2014 range, and that was when we started, when we brought on that new salesperson, and he went to the merchandise mart. And that was huge for us. I don't know if every market has something like this, but in Chicago, I know your ears just perked up. If you ever heard of the merchandise mart, it is the center of design and remodeling in Chicago. That if you are doing a high-end remodel, you get stuff from the merchandise mart. It was at one point the largest building in the world. It is like 18, 20 stories, takes up a giant city block that is full of vendors for tile, cabinetry, plumbing fixtures, appliances, all of them being really, really high end. And so we went to the merchandise mart and started making contacts. And we made contacts with great cabinetry companies, great tile companies who were there, who interior designers would go to them. They would say, hey, we buying this tile for a job. We need somebody to install it. Who do you recommend? And getting us higher up that list. And now we went from doing jobs just for our internal network or levels of our own internal friends and family, maybe past clients of that network, to now we're really expanding that network, right? And that's the hard work, like I talked about earlier, of meeting new people who are in positions to be able to get your name out there, ingratiating yourself to those people. We use a great internal process that we call the prospecting pipeline, of turning people from people who we just met into evangelists eventually. And we've got different stages throughout our pipeline. There's a partner. I'm of course blanking on it as I'm trying to explain it to you right now. But the goal is to make it so somebody is referring to us numerous projects every single year that turn into jobs for us. And how we treat people at every one of these sort of 5 stages in our process is different. And so we never that was a period of growing up for us and figuring out, like, okay, we know we're getting that we get business from this designer over here. Well, how do we replicate that? How do we do more meeting of these people and put them into a system where we can um, help move them along and get them to understand who we are, what kind of projects are best for us, how they can best refer us. And if somebody is an evangelist, who for us is somebody who refers to us more than 2 jobs that we win every single year, making sure that we do right by those people in every way that you would want to do right by them. First and foremost, like taking care of the clients that they send your way, right? Nothing I'll ever do will be better than making them look good for their referral. But of course, those are the same people who you make sure are getting a real good gift from you every Christmas too, right? And the people sort of at the bottom of that chain are people who are, we are just fostering the relationship with them. They're people who don't understand maybe yet who our ideal client is or where we might fit into their own ecosystem. Designers are such a huge one of them for us. So we have internal design in our company, 2 fabulous classically trained interior designers who do everything from actual construction drawings, documents, to the selections, and working with clients directly, and can do an entire design process. And there's a lot of designers out there who prefer not to do those things, or prefer to do less of that. They don't want to do as-builts. They want to be the leader, the face of the project, the one who picks out the FFE and things like that. And for us, we work really well as being those designers back end in a way. A lot of times they just want to go, and you were going to say something.
Yeah, well, so I was curious. So, like, when you talk about these sort of these partnerships that you're forming, in both with your clients and with these these partners here, like, how are you incentivizing them? You said that you give them a really nice gift at Christmas, but is there some other thing that or some other incentive, or like what are you doing that, like, is literally turning them to deliver, like, 4 referrals per year?
That's a great question, and it changes based on what that person's sort of role is, right? The value you can deliver a real estate agent, huge referral source for us, is different from the value that I can give to a designer, right? The designer, the value I can give them, I sort of already just hit that a little bit. Like, a lot of designers don't want to do every part of design that is necessary for us to go into construction. Reflected ceiling plans, electrical plans, plumbing demo plans, those sort of things are not what every single designer, some do, but not what everyone does. So to be able to provide value to them by being the sort of silent back end to empower them to do more, and support larger projects with more organization. We work with a lot of one-man shop designers who are got beautiful websites, very, very high-end finishes that they select, and work in high-end homes, but they are in the end one person. We allow those people to be able to do more. Great business case for being able to meet a single or two-person design firm and be able to really be the muscle behind them. And we don't need to take the credit for anything
Wow.
that we do there. We want to empower those partners to look really good, because when we know when we do that, that more business will come our way. So that's the design part. The real estate agent part may be a little bit different, because the way that real estate agent might interact with that property, or that the couple that you might be doing work for, is different. For real estate agents, we've found ourselves at times, you find the right person. You don't want to do this all the time, but we'll go on walkthroughs with people, and that is a huge boost to that real estate agent's credibility with their clients. When the real estate agent's like, yeah, we're looking at it, we got a fixer up over here, and I'm going to bring in my contractor to talk to you about potential options for this. It now makes it more likely for that real estate agent that they could close the sale. And that's really, in the end, what matters. If you help them close that sale, and then you go make them look good for giving such a great recommendation to you, you have now created a raving fan who is only going to refer you. But you got to make sure, for both those designers and those real estate agents, that they understand the right project for you.
Yeah.
We've developed relationships with lots of people who fall into those categories, who were very fortunate to give us lots of leads, but not every one of them is a qualified lead for us, right? So understanding really clearly what is a qualified lead for your company, and making sure that those people out there know sort of where you fit. A real estate agent is not going to bring us in to throw a coat of paint on a home that they're trying to sell, right? That's a super. They need to be cost effective. They need to be cheap and fast, and that's not who we are, right? We make sure to let all those real estate agent partners know that we're not the guys who are going to do that for you. But if you have two homeowners who are moving into a home that they're going to live in for the next 10, 15 years, where quality is the most important thing, establishing a relationship with a good contractor is the most important thing, then you can do no better than to bring in someone from my team.
So what about, and great advice there. What about with the homeowner, the client? Like, is there anything that you do to, after the job's completed? Obviously, you've done a great job. You've earned their trust and respect. But is there anything extra that you do to try to, parlay that into a few more referrals down the line?
For sure. Being there is got to be the first one. I feel like it's probably very much true. The sort of meme of the contractor who is gonna run away with your money, or is never there to service your warranty, or never picks up the phone as soon as you finish the project. Like, all those things are really well-earned reputations for other people in our industry. And so, like, it starts with sort of changing the narrative around that, and truly genuinely being the people who are always there for them. So yeah, I mean, like, well after warranty periods, we are still checking in with our clients every single year, to at least once a year, to, hey, can we come in and seal your tile? The tile that we put in, we know it needs to be sealed. Can we come in and do that? We just want to make sure that you're still enjoying. Yeah, I mean, it's demonstrating a genuine care for the job that you have done there, that makes you top of that person's list. When you as a homeowner give your friend or your neighbor down the street a referral for a contractor, and they go and do a good job for them, the credibility that you earn, like, it can't be understated. Having someone who is seen to have a good network, who can be relied upon for good things, that increases someone's status. So that's really the center of it for me. Yeah, of course, we do flowers every Christmas for people, and we'll send a bottle of Vouv or something like that over to them. But none of those things, I would say, are what genuinely sets us apart. When we do gifts, we do nice ones. We've got some really high quality blankets. I got this one from Jay Ford, from John Ford, from Jay Ford Construction in Park City, Utah. When you're buying a gift like that, he liked buying the blanket, because it's something that's no name on it, no branding or anything like that, but it's something that's going to be comfortable and sit on your couch for a long time, and be something that you think of as a homeowner, of somebody who wanted to take care of you. That was really important to us, not to brand everything that we do to everyone, but again, to be a genuine help and a light in people's lives, instead of like this consistent self promoting marketing machine. That's just not who we are.
Yeah, no, I love that right there. I mean, you go above and beyond and you show them that you genuinely care about them, and you're not, just there trying to squeeze every last penny out of them. I mean, going back to seal up their tile. I mean, it's a quick trip, cost you, very little, but like if that can turn into another huge project, oh boy, the return on that investment. I mean, that would have been cheaper than having to run probably a Google ad. Your customer acquisition cost on a couple hour trip, is way lower than, the thousands you'd spend to get, a qualified lead converted to a customer.
Didn't even think about it in the sort of cost of client acquisition thing, but you're right. That blows it out of the water. I mean, that furthers the sort of narrative that we've always had, that Google, that sort of cold pay-per-click advertising, finding out about us on the internet has never been the way to interact with us, or the way that actually we earn business. It's really from being good people that are genuinely trustworthy, and that you would be lucky to work with. Like, being genuinely those people is what has earned us the reputation that we have. That I mean,
Wow.
yeah, 80% of our business comes through referrals from those three sources, plus previous homeowners, and we're tremendously proud of that.
That's awesome. And,
Mhm.
and what would you say? So those the the number of leads coming in. What would you say your close rate? How many of those are you able to convert from a lead to a customer?
So I've got all those stats in our. We use HubSpot for our marketing purposes. We've got a great dashboard that we've built there. We get about 260 leads per year, of which we have between a 55 and 60% qualification rate on those leads. If somebody calls me for, I'm just making this up, like landscaping outside, it's not something that we typically do, or just like a one-off, I need a cabinetry door. So we get a lot of those things, but that roughly 55 to 60% of the leads that come in our door are qualified, I think is a really good percentage, and that we feel really fortunate for that. I know that if we upped the dial on our Google Ads spend, that percentage of qualified leads would go way, way, way down, because uh, that is the lowest source of qualified leads for Google Ads. Make up about 25% of our total leads that come in, but only about 10% of our qualified leads that come in. Whereas referrals from warm sources, like those industry partners, like I talked about, or previous clients or friends, those make up about the other 75% of our leads, and make up about 85% of the actual projects that we do in any given year. So we've been able to keep really good statistics on that. It's something that I like to keep my thumb on all the time, of what that balance is of qualified leads that are actually coming in. So if you don't have a system and a dashboard that does that, I think you need to. And with the new dashboards that you guys just released, I think that would be a really, if you had like a custom field for qualification level, or yes, no qualification, that would be
Yeah.
a really cool thing to put on one's dashboard.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you think about kind of how many of those qualified leads turn into customers, what would you say?
Oh, we're at about 22% close rate from qualified leads to customers, and that translates to about 9 or 10% of total leads
Right.
to customers. So, and yeah, of course, I wish that was higher, but I think that a 20% close rate on qualified leads is pretty close to what I understand to be the industry standard, just
Sure.
from being in Remodeler's Advantage. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
We've got it then mapped out. If you've been through Sandler, you know about making your cookbook, and so yes, that's all part of our cookbook of how many leads we need every single week
Yep.
to generate X amount of jobs for us.
And do you like kind of, how do you sort of think about, when you're budgeting, your marketing spend? I mean, obviously you're spending some on Google Ads, but it sounds like the bulk of it is going into these networkings, the referrals, probably maybe even grouping up all the gifts and the little, nice things that you do. I mean, like, how do you sort of think about how much you need to be spending every month or year to make sure that you're keeping, that top of the funnel filled?
We've been around 1 to 2%. top line revenue spent on marketing, which I think is really, really low. I think that is tremendously low. There are people in my Remodelers Advantage group who spend 15-20% of their top line revenue on marketing, and that's a lot. It's a completely different model than we do. It is right for people in certain places of the market. If you are based on volume, that's probably a good place for you. We're not based on volume. We're based on size. Our average job size keeps getting larger and larger, which for us means that the quantity of jobs that we do every year is getting smaller and smaller. And that's a good place for us. That means less work for our salespeople to convert, less leads that we need to
No,
convert. I feel like I just went way off on a track and didn't answer your question though.
no, that's perfect.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh, it,
And then how do you, so again, kind of you're winning the jobs, but like you said earlier in the beginning, we were kind of talking about, sort of software and how, JobTread has really helped you to focus more than ever before on your gross profit. Can you explain kind of what that is and why that's so important and how are you having more of a focus on that?
um, Yeah, this was I'm smiling because this was a great transformation for us that really started in 2023 when we started using JobTread. The systems that we had had theretofore had not allowed us to job cost on individual jobs in a way that we knew we were capturing all the income and all the expenses on it. Everything was in sort of despair. Our hours were kept in this system over here. Our expenses were over here in this system, and so there was never like one good place to be able to job cost. And so um, we've got this now that we are able to do that, and we are lucky that we are perpetually reconciled. We are reconciled every single Monday with all of our accounts, which is a difficult thing to do, but we've got a great office manager that helps us do that. We've got a board in our office that we track quarter to date GP on a weekly basis, and we set goals for our team based on hitting GP goals that the entire team uh enjoys the fruits of their labor. If we hit we've got three different tiers that, if you hit X percentage you get Y bonus. If you hit, this one up here, you get the higher bonus. And it's something that we track every single week as a team. We look at our profit and loss, put it up on the board every single Monday. And we can all look at all of the inputs and outputs of what we did. You see everybody you invoiced last week. You see that we had 400, 500 hours worked last week, but we only invoiced $20,000. Well, hey, there's a disconnect right here. And the focus, the ability to job cost and focus on not just like an individual job basis, but an aggregate basis like that with confidence consistently every week changed the perspective of everyone in our company to focus on GP now. The sort of after we reintroduced this sort of new bonus structure, this team-based bonus structure, the buy-in, as indicated by the sort of questions that you hear your team ask, about, hey, how when I did this last week, did that impact this number here, or did it impact this number right here? Why did this have an impact on profit, or did not change the way our team looks at what we do on a week to week basis completely, and only able to do that when JobTread really focused us on that. We were bouncing back and forth between costing by cost code and by item. That's a consistent battle that I have right now. I'm probably thinking about going back to doing it by cost item, but nonetheless, the visibility that we have into the profitability of each job, to be able now to say, why was this job so profitable? What was different about this job? And quantify in switching tabs, looking at how many hours we actually spent versus a budget, has made it like, I don't know, you got the world at your fingertips. Essentially, you've got all the tools at your fingertips if only you know how to use them. It's like when a doctor uses one of those Da Vinci machines to do surgery on you. I feel like that sometimes, where I'm using these tools to not directly but indirectly impact my team and the things in the field in that way. And it's just been so helpful to us. And the dashboards are going to take that to another level.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love hearing how transparent you are with this. Like, so many times I hear businesses that, they feel like they can't share, their profitability, or I even see people, they're like, well, we don't even want our salespeople to know what the profit is. It's like, how are you gonna, get them to go out and, do their job and sell, great work if you're not giving them the
It's a
tools
great
and the
point.
visibility that they need, and like you're just putting it up for everyone. Your profitability by week, that's awesome. And then you've given everyone goals so that it sounds like everyone has an incentive
Oh, for
to
sure.
help the company hit those goals, and then that's how we can all win together. So it's not like, oh, we're just putting more money in the company's pocket. It's like, no, this is directly going to come back and benefit you, and
Mhm.
that gives them the incentive to want to be focused on that.
Don't know what we did before this. Don't know how I don't know how we operated before this. Like that our gross profit is now a central focus of everyone on the team every single week is something that I couldn't have bought. But if I could have bought it, it would have cost way more than what I'm paying out because it has proved to be a great investment. And I mean, that comes with the territory that you can't also be the kind of guy who's out there hiding the net profit or going out and buying a huge F-150 Raptor or something like that while you're showing the team you've got low profitability, right? That kind of stuff. It's you got to live a life, I guess, as a leader that matches what you're talking about over there too, right? So that kind of goes hand in hand. But
Yeah.
we've got no problems with that at Mahogany Builders. We're proud of
No.
what we do. We're proud of making the 7 to 11% net profit every year if we're lucky, and we think that that's reasonable, nothing to shake a stick at, and something that we're quite proud of.
So how, I'm just curious, how did you structure that incentive package for everyone? Does everyone have the same incentive? Is it kind of based on your role? You've got an incentive. Like, does everyone? How does that look?
We have in our company individual bonuses that are related to an individual's KPIs and their role, salesperson in closing sales, right? And we have those team-based goals that everybody has a couple of different bonuses that they're able to hit, individual and team based. So for us, the team based is supposed to be ubiquitous, that everybody wins when everybody wins in the company. And it is that way because not everyone's individual actions, if we have 5 projects going on concurrently, not everyone's actions on this project are going to immediately impact this project over here, right? That can be a little bit difficult. But that's why we have individual bonuses for those people too. So it's a way for everyone to be rewarded for both what they do individually and as a team. How we actually structure it, it's a bit of a moving target, and I'm the one who sets those bonus targets. Right? There's 3 of them every single quarter that we have. Prefer not to talk about the actual percentages, but this is something that changes all the time. But it's based on what I think, what I foresee, what I can predict, what I want my team to be able to stretch to. If we crushed it last quarter and hit our top line budget number, yeah, you could bet I'm probably going to increase those because I want us to continue to strive. I think those
Mm.
that is the sort of essence of leadership is recognizing that and continuing to have your team strive for goals like that and have the goal not just be static, I guess.
Yeah. So it's percentage based on the GP.
It's exactly tied to, sorry, I should have been more elaborate about that. Yeah, so it is exactly tied to our GP. Every single week we look at what the gross profit is, and I've got it adjusted. So I have got journal entries that every single week move things
Nice.
that are below
Yeah.
the line to being above the line, right? I'm just because I know what that should be. And so we're looking at true GP every single week, and we can see how it relates to on our jobs. If we've got a mix of jobs that are between 33 and 45% GP, we can sort of see how they impact the balance of where we are right now in terms of invoicing. And it's like I said, I don't know what we did without this. As soon as we implemented this, it was like it's now the standard for our company. I don't imagine us doing anything different. It's now I put it into the job offers that we make to people that, hey, you're going to have a team-based incentive every single quarter around our gross profit. And I'm only paying this when we win, right? Like it's
Nope.
that's the part of the incentive base that's beautiful about it, right? I don't have to take a huge risk as a business owner in doing that.
No.
And we get to I've always said that like leadership is what you celebrate, what you tolerate, and what you demonstrate. And that celebrate part is so important to that, right? And like you got to define what a win is for your company. And when you do win, you gotta celebrate it, right? And so that's what we try and do is celebrate the things that truly matter to us. And for us, That's, internally, that's GP. Of course, that's
Yeah.
happy customers, great reviews externally, but internally, that's the profit is what makes the blood run through our veins. That's why we're a business and not a hobby, right?
Yep. Man, Wes, this has been incredible. Such great advice. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all
Thank you.
this. As we wrap up, is there anything, that you wish you would have known earlier on that you now know, kind of besides, all the great advice you've already shared, but just any final thoughts, any advice that you would give, others who are looking to follow in your footsteps and be able to build and structure their company, so that they can have the same level of success.
Sure, this may be more specific than you were looking for, but the last thing that's like at the tip of my tongue is record every single team meeting. Record it for the purposes of leaving breadcrumbs. We had an employee have a terrible health issue the next day, couldn't work for our company, and had we been able to have the information that we talked about in every meeting prior to that, we would have been able to move on in a positive way as a company. And instead, when this happened to us, it really took us down, because when you're a small company, often one person is the center of everything. And for us, that was the person who went down for us. And that was right in the beginning of COVID. And ever since then, I have recorded, and now I just added to it using AI to take notes of every single meeting that we have, whether it's in person. I use a recording device, or meetings like this virtually. So use a recorder of some kind, and keep all those things around. That would be the last thing that I tell you organizationally.
Man, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Hey, man, I really appreciate, again, the opportunity to be able to just be a partner here with you, kind of just fly on the wall, like watching you build, your businesses has just been so exciting, because you're making all the right moves. You've built a great team. You're focused on the right metrics, the KPIs. You've incentivized everyone correctly. You've figured out really how to keep that engine going, if you will. And now it's, really starting to pay off. So, thank you,
Thanks for
Wes,
saying that, Eric.
yeah, no, it's awesome, man, and you're a great inspiration, great role model for everyone else out there. I hope everyone took a lot of notes on this. Obviously, you might have to go and rewatch it a couple times, but just phenomenal advice. So thank you for coming on and sharing everything.
Thank you, Eric. It was my sincere pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, have a great one, Wes.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.